Good morning. No, I had my espresso already this morning. I had to refill up the water. Yeah, so it's continuing to be a pretty choppy environment. Obviously, looking at the futures markets, Bitcoin down to your Nasdaq, your S&P 500, um, kind of rolling over last night, taking out yesterday's lows. And just when you think that maybe, I've kind of nailed an undercut and rally setup in Sandisk, all of a sudden the market brings it right back down to that level. And just ultimately reminding you that doing the absolute least in chop is the best thing you can do. So do less. I think that's kind of what the market's telling us here. Do less. It could be one of those scenarios where you get a little bit of a washout again this morning, and then you just grind higher. I mean, because with this, news with the U.S. and Iran once again, that obviously comes on the back of, or that is followed up by news of, the war is done, we're close to a deal. It's the same shit again. So, I mean, look, it's chop, man. It's chop, and I don't want to deal with it. Yeah, and that's a really good point. You like how well Dell is holding up, but there's a lot of eyes on it. There are tons of eyes on it. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a bad thing. We could probably, I know it sounds silly, but we could probably rally back up to these highs. And then, you just end up failing as a failed breakout, right? Where it just looks really good, like MXL, and then all of a sudden it just gets absolutely flat, where you're just like, man, this thing's holding up so well. Then it goes to break out, and then it just fails. So I don't know. I mean, I have no idea, and that's the problem, right? Like early April, after you got the follow through day, mid April, late April, May, you get a follow through day, and you don't have to have an idea. Shit's just going up. Like, what are the technical setups you trade? What are the leading groups in the market? Buy them as they're taking out a prior day high. Buy them as they're giving you a higher low. Just buy them. Now it's like you have to know too much. I mean, it's like it's I don't know. It's not a comfortable situation. And here's the reality for me, at least. I haven't been able to get traction on the long side. I haven't been trading software, although I was eyeballing it, a name like Datadog, for a few weeks. I just did not execute on it on the day it went to go take off. And, I've kind of missed the boat here. And now it's just chopping around a little bit over the last few days. Yeah, BB. I mean, again, this was a breakout on the back of earnings, and now it's just doing a really fantastic job, giving a bunch of that move back. That doesn't even surprise me too much. Have I ever seen many names in your career where stocks, after a nice uptrend in the first day with a 50, simply don't hold? Oh, yeah, I understand what you're saying. Normally, dates with the 50 equal a little bit of a bounce, and we're just kind of slicing through them. I really can't think of too many other instances, but this could still turn into an undercut and rally, but who the hell knows? And it's not just NBIS and ARM. Intel is another, right? Where you're like, you might hold on to the 50 and then you just slice right through. But again, it's just such a high chop environment. I want to do the absolute least right now. So, I don't really care about. I mean, I know that they've been kind of trying to shape up a little bit. This is a pretty big gap up, but yeah, I'm not really too concerned with Chinese equities at this point. They got so beat up. Now they're gapping up, and that's great. But I mean, this chart just looks god awful. So yeah. Look, I mean, Sandisk, does it have to bounce? I mean, I don't think this thing just, goes all the way back to, $1,000 or $800 without giving some kind of a, meaningful bounce along the way. But I mean, I don't even know that this thing has to give a bounce, back up to 1900. So I kind of look at the memory theme and I think it's done, right? I think it's done. I could be wrong, of course, but I sure as hell don't want to be trading in what is looking like and going to you've either got one of two options. This is your full first pullback before you go on to build a really long base that goes all the way until the end of this year. Um, or it ends up just chopping and then ultimately rolling over again. I don't know. Problem is I keep saying that. I keep saying I don't know. I was never short Pan W. I was short CrowdStrike, and I'm no longer short. I was short CrowdStrike on was this on Thursday? On Wednesday. Yeah, GLW. GLW is a bit choppier, and GLW was a bit easier to avoid because the optics group was acting poorly. But yeah, you get a breakout here and then you just fail. I mean, you didn't trim at that Jesse Livermore 300 level. That happens. Do you see spots in no, I don't see a spot in Reddit or Hood. I don't think you do either. Right? How do you buy this thing exactly? I mean, it's acting well, but how do you buy it? You really can't. I mean, there's nothing there that gets me excited at least. I like the names, but I don't know that I like the action. Yeah, Band a super nice day yesterday. Software, if I'm not mistaken, recent offering bounced off the 50. Nice job holding up, but I again another one that nice relative strength. I just don't have a spot to buy it. Yeah, I click buttons nonstop when I first started trading. Okay, so two things. I was trading in like the hottest market ever, right? COVID, where like money was just flooding the market. You had theme after theme after theme, kind of hitting the tape. And then I switched to swing trading, where and not only that, I became a bit more systematic. It's still I still have a lot of discretion in my trading, obviously. But I am much more systematic, which I think is important. Like how it is that I scan the market, what are the sort of setups I trade. When I was scalping the market, I was in trades for a minute, right? Literally, sometimes less. Now I'm trying to be in trades for weeks at a time if I can be. So not like every moment is going to be a good moment to click the button. I know as a swing trader, it could be a death by 1,000 paper cuts if you click the button too much. So NTAP was fine a few days ago. NTAP was just fine. I thought it was a little bit too extended. From its open to where it had to take out a prior day high in order for me to buy it. Where did this thing end up going, man? This thing had an ugly kind of a washout this morning. It's trying to bounce back. Yeah, I mean, NTAP fine. I'd like to see it like build a little higher low, a gentle 2-day pullback, and then a higher low, and I'd love to buy it. What are my thoughts on MDGL? Fine. Pharmaceuticals are super strong, but I absolutely hate channeling price action right back into supply. So this is not a setup that I like at all. I don't like channeling price action into supply. But okay, if you can get a pullback here and then tighten up a little and then go. And then ARQT. Whoops, ARQT. Yeah, another biosciences name. A little bit cleaner. This thing was good yesterday. A little thin for me, but not bad. Not bad yesterday. Or even this little pullback into the 20 and a 620 setup right in here. Would you please explain how to build a model book? Yeah, so you want to start with focusing on the names that have made the biggest moves over the last couple of years. Those are the names that had a stage 1 base, had a stage 2 uptrend, had a stage 3 top, and had a stage 4 fall. I would also suggest studying Stan Weinstein. That way, when you're making a model book, you have like a good baseline for what is a stage 1 base, what is a stage 2 uptrend, and then just have ChatGPT or Perplexity or whoever, build you out a list of the, call it 100 biggest movers over the last, I don't know, 5 years, right? Going back to 20, even call it 2020, right? The biggest percent movers trading north of $1 billion market cap. Start there. And then once you kind of have that down, you're going to go through your chart and you're going to know what a stage one base is, and you're going to make a model book of stage one bases. You're going to make a model book for stage two uptrends with your moving averages, with your setup, with your buy points. And then you go back and look at those names. And once you have them, and I did mine laminated pages, the whole deal, kind of color coordinated the stages that we were in, and then go back and look at the environment, not even just the environment, the market at the time. So if you're looking at tech related, what was the Qs doing at that time? If you're looking at an energy stock, what was crude oil doing, or what was other energy stocks doing in that moment? And you really kind of beat that into your head in terms of price action, which is really important. Market cap filter, you could do like just market cap over $1 billion. I tell people all the time, like, if you just set it at $1 billion, you're not missing anything, right? And here's a good example of that. Rigetti at $3 was $1 billion market cap. It goes into the 50s. So if it didn't hit your radar until 3, you didn't miss anything just because it started at 1, right? You shouldn't have even been focused on it at 1. So that's a really good way to think about it. TENB. Yeah, this one I know was extended. Yeah. And gapping down slightly. XBI with a little bit of a gap down this morning. AVGO with Apple deal. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. AVGO looks like shit. That's the only way to put it. I mean, unless they get a deal with Jesus Christ himself, I don't care about AVGO. Caterpillar for me, just nothing to do with it up here. I know industrials have been acting well, but there's really nothing for me to do with Caterpillar here. If you bought it yesterday as a 620 setup on this 50 simple moving average UNR, right, on this support gap undercut and rally, which was, picture perfect right down here. Okay, fine. But we'll see what it does at the open. I mean, it's all right. Dawkins had some news yesterday and gave it all right back up. They had like some, I don't know if it was price target increase or guidance, but that's the wrong one. It trades like shit. I mean, that's just is what it is. It trades poorly. Yeah, UNH. The chart looks fine, but I find myself asking this question. Do I really want to buy United Healthcare? Do I really want to buy Molina Health? Do I really want to buy a biotech right now? Like, that's what I'm asking myself. I'd rather just not click the button. Like, I know, here's the thing. I'd rather short something, right? I'd rather short something like, and I'm short this name, so I'm just mentioning it, but I'd rather short something like Carvana at the 50-day where it ends up dropping, 4 or 5% versus getting into a UNH, which by the time this thing moves up 4 or 5%, 5%, literally, this is what it has to move. I could grow a full beard, and I don't grow a beard. All right. that's my point. That's how slow of a mover it is. It's like, it's just not that exciting to own United Healthcare. So I'd rather be golfing. I'd rather be on vacation. I'd rather be shorting stocks. Like, if I'm forced to buy the fucking Cheesecake Factory and United Healthcare, I'm going to go nuts, right? You guys will not see me for a few weeks. I had trips to go on vacation in November, and now we might have to, adjust the schedule and go early with this shit price action. And it's not that there's shit price action because biotechs are acting well, and healthcare stocks are acting well, but that's not what I'm buying. I'm not buying that. I'm not doing it. What are my thoughts on this bull chart? You mean Webull? I prefer Robinhood. I'm pretty sure Weeble is still underneath the 200 day, right? Were you here yesterday? Halfway tree. Were you here yesterday? If you were here yesterday, dude, you and I got problems. If you were here yesterday and you just made me pull up bull, you better say you were not here yesterday, dude. I already knew it was under the 200 and I pulled it up anyway out of the kindness of my heart. It looks like shit. It looks like shit. It's below the 200. I'd like to see maybe like a small 2-day pullback on NTAP and then a higher low. So like pullback today, and I don't know that that's going to happen. Pullback tomorrow, and then kind of find some support against that 20, and then buy it over Thursday's high. No, I don't think NTAP's a laggard. A little bit, but I don't think it's a laggard. When I say memory is done, what's your time frame? Obviously, memory is a key part of AI, and it's surely done over the long term. I think it's done going higher for potentially the rest of this year. There's a chance that maybe, just maybe, it sets up into like November or something like that, right? It'd have to build a really nice base. Like, go back and look at SanDisk. It built a 7-week base, and we basically just topped like a week ago. So at minimum, another 6 weeks until it builds a 7-week base, roughly. And then it once built a 9-week base. So that would put us into like September, right? And I don't think that we're just ready to build out a really clean base and then go in September. I think it would be something closer to like October-ish, right? And then maybe. But for now, and here's the thing, it could have very well just topped, right? I don't know. Peng looks so good. It's just gapping up on earnings. Yeah, a little bit. It looks good, but it also looks super choppy. Oh, maybe the semiconductors bounce back today. Had PanW short mapped out yesterday, but blinked and missed. Yeah, I know it had gotten a little bit extended. Yeah. Well, yeah, they didn't make it too easy. How aggressive do you normally get coming out of a correction consolidation? Do you normally deploy 100% of your capital? I try to, but if we're coming out of a correction, that means 10% or more to me, and then I wait for a follow through day. Yeah, I know you meant Caterpillar. I just and I mentioned it. If you bought it against the 50 simple moving average yesterday, fine. Dell does look very good, but again, it's one of the few stocks that look very good. Twist Biosciences. Let's take a peek. Yeah, I don't really see much to do here. It's got a rebase, right? It's made a huge move, 100+%. Now it's got to build a flag. Yeah, band really nice yesterday. Band really nice yesterday. Yeah, therapeutic stocks, man. This is just, look at how nice this was down here when it got back up above the 50. I mean, superb. Just awesome. Yeah, therapeutic stocks. Here's an oncology name. This one a little bit choppier and not one that I really could have bought, but not bad. Yeah, Hinge helped. This one, Hinge had a setup weeks ago. Down here. There should really be no reason that you're even mentioning him at this point, Tom. Right? Because there's just nothing to do here. It's 10 times its ATR from the 50. What do you want me to tell you? Yeah, go buy it, Tom. Like, no, there's nothing to do. Had you mentioned like Hinge while it was doing this, I'd have told you it was gorgeous. But, up here, there's just nothing left to do with it, brother. That's it. It's done. Let it go without you. HWM is in the aerospace and defense sector. Yeah. Um, HWM's not too bad. HXL, I think I was looking at that one yesterday. CMPS. If you were slick enough to buy this thing against the rising 50 simple moving average yesterday, God bless. Yeah, that was a pretty low risk spot. Pullbacks into the 50, especially sharp ones, not bad. HWM. Not bad. Not bad. I know the ITA group is acting well because of like Boeing. Boeing and General Electric. I mean, kind of sloppy here, but hopefully not a double top short sale, that's for sure. Do I think money will roll back into the energy sector? XBI, XLV look extended. Now, those definitely are memories and chops. So are semiconductors. If you look at crude oil yesterday, obviously made a big move, but the day before that, I also thought was really notable. Like, look at the way that VLO had effectively made a new all-time closing high on Monday. Yesterday, a little bit of a shakeout, even though crude oil was up, and now you're gapping back up on VLO today. But ultimately, pretty damn good if you ask me. So, and it's not the only one. MPC, Dino were a few others that I thought were interesting, and this is also gapping out into highs. Do I think Dell will fail to break out with all the attention it has? I think it matters more on the market. If the market continues to go down, I don't think Dell can break out. Lots of eyes on it, and you just your market environment. If your environment starts to roll over, I don't think it matters. RXO, nice chart. I thought NBIS could have been an undercut and rally yesterday, which is kind of what I was playing it as. A SanDisk was a little bit better, obviously, but just looking at this low, right? This is the low that was set before this went and made a new higher high. So this is a higher low and then followed by a higher high. So I knew that this was a relevant spot. And then all of a sudden you undercut that yesterday and then you rallied right back up. And I bought it in here. But because you made, again, an intraday higher low, here's your low, here's your higher low. When I bought this in here, then all of a sudden I was able to just use this low as my stop. So really no harm done, right? Super small loss. And then obviously this morning, pretty happy that I'm no longer sitting in it. So, but yeah, just an undercut rally, and Bloom Energy was a setup that you can go and study to see how those work, right? So this was the low that was established before it went and made a new higher high. So I thought that this low was relevant, and this is where you got your higher low, right, or your UNR right in here before ultimately going higher. Like, yes, it ended up, rolling over again, but the undercut rally setup is one that I like, and that's all I thought that it was. UNR setups can provide like an insane amount of low risk. Like, imagine buying this here with your stop at low of day, so like 3% in exchange for a 40% move, right? You get 10 to 1, 12 to 1 on your money. Like, you just don't have to be right often if you can catch those. I think ANET is holding up well, but there's just not a lot for me to do with it. Yeah, there are a few other shorts on my radar. Carvana against the 50-day. Yeah, ain't that not bad? What do I think of UMAC and the drone sectors? I think they're a little bit more speculative and not anything that I would go buying at the moment until the market can shape up. What's my go-to source for market news? My own highs lows scan. So I am seeing if something's moving pretty violently. Just a pre-market gap scan, and then just read the actual news right on the ticker symbol. So something will have gapped, and then trade exchange. Please share your thoughts. NVIDIA acted defensively yesterday. And no, NVIDIA just bounced at the 200-day. I wouldn't really call that defensively. All I know is that it's trying to hold and hug the 200 simple moving average. Yesterday's lows become super, super important. I don't have a number. I don't have a hard rule on a set number of trades per day or week. But if I'm not gaining traction, I just start taking less trades and I start sizing down even more, right? Like I'll go to 5% portfolio positions with a 3% stop, right? If that's my low day, I'll go to 3% portfolio positions with 3% stop, meaning I could take 10 losses in a row before I lose 1% equity. Like I will effectively stop trading, or I'll try the other side of the market, right? Like if I'm just not gaining traction on longs, is it because the market's going down? My entry tactics suck, my stock selection sucks, or I'm just trading the wrong side of the market. And I'll trade the other side of the market, let's say the short side. And if that's a bit more friendly, I'll stay on that side of the market. I don't care if the market's going up. If I'm seeing shorts best and I'm making money on the short side, I will keep doing that. So paying opening range high today, I don't think so. Um, when the Qs are below the 50, buying breakouts and opening range breaks doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Hopefully it can go higher, but not something that I'm going to be doing. FTNT, yeah, I'm long this name. There's not a lot I can do with it at the moment. I've already trimmed. Yeah, there's really nothing left I can do. There's not even a setup here to buy. Is this a high or low setup for Rocket Lab? Oh, you mean off of the $80 level? I don't think I play it as one. Yeah, I don't think so. I'm going to just kind of leave it alone. Shouldn't we expect true market leaders like Sendes to end in a blow off top? Seems like an inglorious ending for this monster. Yeah, but I think that WDC had the blow off top, and it's in the same exact sector, right? Here's your blow off top move, 6 gap ups in a row. And then, I think all the eyes were on SanDisk, right? So it was WDC that gave you the blow off top, and maybe SanDisk that doesn't. Thanks, Will. Appreciate it. What do I think of Rackspace RXT? It's holding up well. It's holding up well. Rackspace Technology. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. I don't really see like a great pivot to buy it, and that's usually the problem with some of these like smaller cap stocks. Maybe a little pullback into the 20 or like a morning washout and then a hold of the 20 for some continuation, but it looks fine. I just don't know how I buy it. Do I mean reversion longs or just short the bounce? You could do both. Dude, you could do both. It's funny because in the Discord the other day, I talked about Rocket Lab potentially being a short against the 50. Like I wanted to play this for a bounce against the 200. And I talked about how you could get a 20% bounce on this name. You literally got a 20% bounce on this name to the T, right? 30% bounce. And then when you came into the 50, you came into the declining 50, and then you had a 620 setup and a failure right here. That was it. That was it. And then all of a sudden, you could have literally longed the mean reversion for the long and then shorted the bounce. Like you literally could have played it both sides right in here, up and down. You just kind of have to be aware of what the group's doing, but the setups were there. The setups were absolutely there. Just starting. What do you mean by saying we should book or stack at low instead of? I'm confused at what you're saying, brother. You might, if you could repeat that, I'll try to answer that for you. Did I buy? I bought NBIS and I got stopped out quickly. If I had bought SanDisk, I might still be in it and up 70 points. All I have right now is a short in AXTI. I've had it for over a month now. AXTI. I've got a long in FTNT, and I've got a short in Carvana. That's it. I've got my short from June 2nd. So we're just still kind of hanging out. We get down to the 200 day / $45. I'll be done with the AXTI as well. What does my screening process look like? Going through my universe list, which I kind of try to refine every single weekend and even during the trading day. Look, when there's less to do for me, I just kind of go through my scans and then build my universe list and then take names out. Go through my universe list in the evening and then go through my scanners. So, and for the most part, all my scans, I now, for anybody who is in the Discord in here, and I'm assuming that there's got to be a few of you guys. If you're not already aware, um, let me just share this really quickly. So, stock screener, you've got all of my pre-builts right in here. So you can just go like your 1 week mover, and then you've got all of your names that will be in your 1 week mover, which is, boy, that's not a lot. Your 1 month mover, and it'll have all your matches in there. And then again, your 3 month mover, your 6 month mover, your IPO, and you'll have all your matches in there. You could obviously look at it via a list. You can even copy this right into your universe list. And then you just, for anybody who's unaware, send to your watch list, and then it'll be right on your universe list. I build my universe list into TradingView. So what I'll end up doing is I'll just copy this and then I'll post it right into TradingView. But then that'll be, right in there. And same story. You'll just be able to kind of look through your charts and then just remove names if they're no good. So I'm not going to be trading Old Dominion, so you'll just take that one off. So pretty straightforward. Anyway. But yeah, that is the number one job. So you're going to build your universe list. That's number one. And just stay in tune with kind of where money's going, where money's leaving. And then, try to build a 6 to 8 to 10, potentially actionable setups for tomorrow. And then you'll see what's triggering, what is not. And then obviously during market open, kind of paying attention to, where money's going at the open and where it's going throughout the entire day. Again, always trying to stay on top of, what it is that the market's doing. There's nothing really for me to do with band. Net, yeah, net's not bad. Net is not a bad base at all. Rackspace, I think, is fine. Rubric, I think, is another one that's fine. Software cybersecurity is acting fantastic. But again, there's just not a lot for me to do here. Really nice push off the last few days, but now just needs to, chop around. Yeah. Hey, short guys, how did you miss FCell? Yeah, that one ended up having a 40% unwind. Snowflake is pretty awesome. Again, software is leading. There's just not a lot for me to do here. The entry was last Friday. Yeah, Marvell filled the Jensen. Marvell's worth 1 trillion gap. Short optics names? No, Gavin, you're way late, dude. You're way, way, way late. I was short AOI at $205. Okay, we're at 110 now. Like, don't you want to catch a 40% move on any position you ever take? And now you want to short? Come on, my guy. That doesn't even make any sense. You got to wait for a bounce into declining moving averages. You don't short this now. I mean, that's not to say it can't go lower, but you don't do that. If you play the long side, would you wait for a flush and ugly close gap up before initiating? Ivan, that's definitely a potential. I think number 2 is we can hope that there's a QQQ correction 10%, and then we get a follow-through day. Thoughts on ARM? There's nothing to do with it. Looks like shit to me. Yeah, I mean, maybe you can buy this as a 50 simple moving average, undercut and rally, and then you rally back up, and then you tighten up, and then you go. But it just doesn't look that good. It just does not look that good. And more importantly, semis aren't acting that great. Semis to me act poor now. Memory names act poor now. Cadence, yeah, this is not bad. Fresh stage 2 uptrend potentially. I don't mind this if we take out a prior day high as a higher low off the 50. Do I get earnings news as well from Trade Exchange? Yeah, I get earnings news from Thinkorswim. I get earnings news from TradingView. I get earnings news from Twitter. I get earnings news right from my own platform. I get earnings news from, did I say Trade Exchange? I get it from everywhere, dude. When earnings come up, I get the news everywhere. Anyone got recommendations for long stocks for swing trading? Before anybody answers that, what are the setups? Where's money going? It's been going to healthcare and biotech, and there's not really setups there at the moment. They're already extended. Yeah, EdTap's definitely interesting. You're in Mags and looking at some software like Adobe, maybe others. Any advice? ADBE. I know this is below the 200. Yeah, why are you looking at this, dude? What are you doing to yourself? You're looking at Adobe for what? For what, dude? Yeah, any advice? Look in other places. I mean, charts that are above. See this red line, a 200-day? Wait till it's sloping up. Guys, big moves do not occur below the 200. I with love, I say this. I don't want to repeat this shit for the rest of my life. All right? So for the almost 4,000 people in here, half of you guys probably know this already. The biggest moves in stock market history occur when this 200-day, your trend filter, is sloping up. All right? And I learned this a long time ago. When you're looking at AMR, I'll remember this because I didn't miss this move, right? I missed it early, but look at this 200. Here's your Adobe sloping down, sloping down, sloping down for forever. Finally, a character change. You get back above the 200. Some volume comes in. It consolidates nicely. It breaks out. It digests for a few months. It then breaks out once again. I don't buy this thing myself until $65. Okay, and it bottomed at 4. Right? I buy it 1,000% higher, and guess what? I still doubled my money. So it's like you just need to focus on stocks above the 200. And I say that with love, but do not wait. You're focused on Adobe. Do you hate your time? Not do you hate your money? Do you hate your time? Because you're definitely not going to compound your money focused on charts that are in a downtrend. Until it gets above the 200 simple moving average, it is in a downtrend. I got into Carvana short against the 50 simple moving average right here. And I almost got punched out too, right here. Right? Against the 50 simple moving average, a push into the 50, and then you started to roll over on a 5-minute chart. And then, you got this little push into the resistance gap. And I was just kind of using this little resistance gap as my stop. But I needed a close above this resistance gap really to knock me out. First 5-minute close. And again, a 5-minute opening range break to the upside. And you never really got that. You got a little bit of a brief push and a failure. And having a small position in this thing really helped kind of sitting through this little wiggle yesterday. So really no harm. Again, super, super, super small risk, right? Less than 2% even on that push. So was never really down anything on this name. And then it rolls over. And it looks like, this thing to me looks like a head and shoulders top. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, proper size, and you're done. And just let it work. What's going on with Frog? Is it leaping higher or is it gapping down? It's not. It's super illiquid right now. It's not. Nothing's really wrong. Yesterday, you said something about buying a stock on the market is doing bad, not when the stock market is doing well. Okay. All right. Let me see if I can kind of understand what you were saying. When the stock market is going down, I want to focus on the names that are acting strongest. So that is, I think, what you were interpreting. So when the stock market is doing bad and then you get a follow through day, means you get a bit of a character change in terms of price and volume. Then all of a sudden, I want to show up and buy stocks that are acting well, not the other way around. So yeah, when the market's acting poorly is when I want to track the names that are acting best. Yeah, brother, you should see a video on YouTube how I use Steam Tracker. There's a link there. Do I see money going to energy now? It was going to energy a few days ago. Look at VLO, look at MPC, look at Dino. I mean, charts that are holding up great while crude oil got sliced in half, basically. Yeah. Will I consider a stock at stage 2 breakout after a long base if it's under its 200? Yeah, if it consolidated nicely under the 200 and then breaks back above the 200 after a long consolidation, yeah, that could be a nice stage 2 a trend and a breakout, back into an uptrend. Yeah, I've got a scanner on Toss, like a 3-month relative strength scanner. CRBS, the recent IPO. I don't think there's anything to do with this thing. It's CBRS. There's really nothing to do with this name. Yeah, there's nothing going on here with CBRS. Twilio software acting well. Acting well. I'm gonna run that banner. I'm gonna build that banner. Don't ask me about shit under the 200. That's too funny. That's 100% what's happening. Yeah. What did Nick say yesterday, Jay? That's how math works. All of the stock market, stock history for 100 years, the biggest moves can only happen above the 200 simple moving average. That is math. How do I prevent myself from trading every day, especially when situational awareness says hands off? Simple. Got a couple dogs behind me. I've got a room of 500 plus people listening in. Answering a dozen questions. When there's nothing to do, there's nothing to do. You know what I enjoy more than trading? The money that I've already made. I enjoy that way more. Like, there's nothing I like more than the hard work and money that I've already earned in my life. There's just, when the market just says chop, I don't want to give back my money. Like that I think should be the biggest motivator. And when you're losing money, it's only because of a few reasons. You're in a choppy market. Your stock selection sucks. Your entry tactics are terrible. You're not trading the right side of the market. You don't have a clear edge that you're exploiting over and over and over. I'm not making money right now. Is it because I'm a terrible trader or because I'm not in healthcare? I'm not in biotech. I'm not in pharmaceuticals. I'm not in those names. So that's where the money's been easiest. I'm not in those names. I'm in a software stock and I'm in 2 shorts. And I happen to be in a short in Photonics and I happen to be in Carvana because it looks like a late stage base that's going to roll over. So I'm short. And here's the thing. I could have either been long a bunch of healthcare for the last 3 weeks, or I could have been short a bunch of Photonics for the last 3 weeks. And in either scenario, you have done what the market has told you to do. You've either bought the names that were showing relative strength or you shorted the names that were showing relative weakness. Done and done. Yeah, BB needs to consolidate. Guys, much love. I got to get stream started. I will see you guys tomorrow. Sorry I could not answer all your questions. Much love. Trade them well. Be safe. It is chop. Please be safe out here. How do you set your trading view up some whenever you search a stock? It updates both views. Let me see. I want to say it's just, I'll look it up. Somebody told me how to do this. They're just like linked. They're just, I think it's this number 2, and then it's just linked. Somebody here knows how to do it. Yellow dots on my chart means 10x ATR extension from the 50 simple moving average. I'll look at it. Somebody, yeah, it's the sync button. Okay. Yeah, simple enough. All right, guys, much love. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Later.